Okay, so if you have any doubts in the exercise, let me know. We can discuss that first before going into additional exercise problems. No doubts? Okay. So this is a simple question. You can see that this is something like a venturi. So here the velocity is less, here the velocity is high. If the velocity is high, pressure is low, which means the height of the liquid column will be less, right? Pressure is low means it should be this way, and then here if the pressure is high, it should be higher here. So that means I would say the B figure is correct. Then the first diagram A diagram is wrong, right? So I hope you figured it out. Any other questions? Should try. Okay, we can get started with some additional exercise unless you have any doubts. Yeah, just now I saw you, you are admitted. Yeah.
Okay, sir.
Okay. A tank with a square base of area 1 meter square is divided by vertical partition in the middle. Bottom of the partition has a small hinge door of area 20 centimeters square. The tank is filled with water in one compartment and an acid of relative density 1.7 in the other, both to a height of 4 meters. Compute the force necessary to keep the door closed. So basically, as I always say, drawing is the language of engineers and scientists. So if you want to figure out something, you have to make a drawing. Okay, without making drawing, you cannot do anything. So they are saying there is two partitions in this. Okay, so that means there is a hinge door here. So what do you mean by hinge door? It's like it can move like this, right? So if the pressure is higher here, it will move this way. If the pressure is higher on this liquid, then this will be moving this way. So it will be opening this way. So that's what we mean by a hinged door. All your doors in your home is kind of hinged, right? So that is what we mean by hinged, because it is going to turn around one of the corners. So suppose if I turn it like this is what this is your hinged, right? So they said on one side you have 4 meters of water, another side you have 4 meters of acid. So let's say this is water and this is acid. This is 4 meters. Of course, both the things are 4 meters. So because of this water column, there will be a pressure here. Because of this acid, there will be a pressure here. So this side also they said same 4 meter. This side, rho is 1000 kg per meter cube because water. This side they said the relative density is 1.7, which means by this time you should know that it is as its density should be 1700 kg per meter cube. Anybody not knowing that, then you should know, go back to your basics. Rho substance divided by rho water will give me the relative density. So 1.7 into 1000 will give me 1000. Okay, nothing very difficult there. So obviously you know that the pressure at this point, right? So pressure at this point is rho GH. Pressure at this point is also rho GH. Only thing, this is rho water, this is rho acid, right? But the height is same. So which means to say that they're asking what is the force required to keep the door closed. Okay, which means maybe you have some kind of a what do you call, something like a screw or something to tighten this so that it doesn't open. Right? Obviously, you can see that this side is going to be higher pressure. This side is going to be lower pressure. Why? Because the density is higher. Suppose if I fill this with as instead of acid, suppose if I fill it with oil, which is lower relative density, something like 0.8, then it will be 800 kg per meter cube, which means this side pressure will be higher and this side pressure will be lower. Okay. Right now, this is higher density, which means the pressure here is higher. So this is your P2, this is your P1. So compute the force necessary. They didn't ask you the pressure, but they asked you to find the force. But then they are given you the hinge door area. So that means you know that pressure is equal to force by area. So area is given, pressure can be found from this, right? Which means force can be found. So that means you can say that this is given, this is known, this is given, this is known, this is known, this is known. So delta P is equal to force by area. So delta P is nothing but P2 minus P1 is equal to force by area. So it means this can be found from here, and then this is given. Don't forget it is given in centimeter square, which means 20 centimeter square, you have to do 10 power minus 4, right? Centi is 10 power minus 2, square means it will be 10 power minus 4. So 20 into centi is 10 power minus 2 meters, centimeter square means same. So it means you'll be getting 20 into 10 power minus 4 meters square. So that should go over here. Okay. That's all, very simple. So the idea here is, it may look like a very complicated problem, right? But then the idea is if you draw this diagram, you'll understand there is a pressure here, there is a pressure here. This difference in pressure is going to make the door open. But if you want to put a screw or something, how much force is required? That's what they're asking. So it means find out the difference in pressure, which is delta P is equal to force by area. Delta P find it from this formula rho GH. Then multiply by the area, you'll get the force. Very simple. Okay. So the numbers, mathematics, I'm not going to do it. If you have any questions in the concept, you can ask me. Okay. If you expect me to do the subtraction, multiplication, division, then you are in the wrong class. Okay. So take down the concepts, then do it, try it, check your book answer. If you are not getting it, obviously I can help you. So you should know what is relative density, you should know the density of water, you should know how to calculate the density of the given substance. And then understand that even though we say pressure here, pressure is equal to force by area, here we are trying to calculate the net force, which means you have to calculate the net pressure. Net pressure means you have to do P2 minus P1 because this pressure is acting this way, this pressure is acting this way, so you have to subtract bigger minus small. Of course, pressure. I mean, when I show this arrows, I'm talking about the force, right? Because of this pressure, force is the door is trying to open this way. Because of this pressure, it is trying to open this way. Which means to say that the screw should be kept somewhere on this side so that it doesn't open this way. Any questions, any doubts? Based on my calculations, I have got 46 Newton here. Okay, so you can make a side note and check your answers later. They are getting 56 Newton. Okay, can I go to the next one? Anybody having any doubts? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So very often, particularly if you are going into engineering, obviously you will be getting a lot of this kind of questions, particularly in a subject called fluid mechanics, mechanical engineering. A manometer reads the pressure of a gas in an enclosure as shown in figure 10.25, and a pump removes some of the gas. Okay, so you are connecting, so the pressure is this way, so this is higher pressure, so that means this is pushing it downwards, so this is rising up, right? So this is mercury. Is it mercury? Okay, when a pump removes some of the gas, the manometer reads as the 10.25B. Okay, liquid used in the manometer is mercury. Okay, the atmospheric pressure is 76 centimeter of mercury. Give the absolute and gauge pressure of the gas in the enclosure. You see, I was thinking this concept is not there, but it is actually there. So absolute and gauge pressures are there. So as I told you, somewhere in your theory, when you are measuring some pressure, right? So for example, when you are going to fill your tires in a two-wheeler or a four-wheeler, right? So something like, say, I think it will say 25 psi, something like that. Okay, pounds per square inch. This is a British unit. Okay, it's not a SI unit. But sometimes we are much more comfortable with the British units, right? So we use this units. So this is actually the gauge pressure, what is inside the tire. But when you are doing some thermodynamic calculations, right, the gauge pressure should not be used. You have to use the actual pressure. What do you mean by actual pressure? The atmospheric pressure should also be added. Okay, so that means this is leaving the atmospheric pressure, this is the pressure. Okay, because which means if I add the atmospheric pressure, it will be more than this. Okay, so that's why this question is there for you to know, make you understand what is absolute pressure and gauge pressure. How would the levels change in case B if 13.6 centimeter of water immiscible with mercury are poured into the right limb of the manometer? So right limb means this side. So suppose if I pour some water, so you'll push it this way, I think. Okay, maybe this diagram is not for this. This is for the first part. Okay. You see, there is some pressure here, and then because of this pressure only, this mercury is rising up, right? So they're asking you the question, they said 76 centimeter of mercury, okay, which means I told you, you can measure the pressure in Newton per meter square, which is your SI units, okay. But then using your Torricelli's Torricelli's barometer, we said that, every time he did this experiment, every time the mercury will stop at a level which is 76 centimeter. Remember that theory, okay. So 76 centimeter of mercury. That's what they're giving here. So we should try to connect this and that. So sometimes we are allowed to talk in terms of mercury height. Okay. So what does that mean? If I say, for example, if you are confused with this, if I say instead of 76, suppose if I say there is a pressure of 100 centimeter of mercury, what does that mean? It means the pressure is produced by the liquid column of 100 centimeter. So that means rho GH. Rho is 13,600. By this time, you should know these numbers. Okay, if you are not knowing that, then you are not studying the fluid mechanics properly. G is 9.8 of 10 approximately. H is 100 centimeter, so 100 divided by 100 to convert it to meters. So 100 cancels, so I'll be getting 13,600 and then into 10. So with this much of Pascal or Newton per meter square. So if I ask you, of course, this is nothing to do with this problem. I'm just trying to explain, what they mean by 100 centimeter of mercury. So 100 centimeter of mercury is equivalent to 136,000 Pascal. Okay, or you can say 1.36 into 10 power 5 Pascal. Okay, because this is called the scientific notation or standard notation. Okay, so you should know that pressure can be talked in terms of Newton per meter square or Pascal, or sometimes we will talk in terms of mercury head. So this side is open to atmosphere, right? The atmosphere is acting here, which means 20 centimeter of mercury has raised here. Okay, so it means if I put a line over here, so again, always I go back to the basics. So this is your X, this is your Y. So this side you have the pressure in the gas enclosure, pressure in the tank is what is acting on top of X. Who is acting on top of Y? Atmospheric pressure and mercury liquid column pressure. So that means P tank is equal to, you can say Px is equal to Py. In place of Px, I can put P tank because the tank pressure is acting on this, and Py, who is acting on top of this, P atmosphere plus pressure due to the liquid column. Pressure due to the liquid column is nothing but your 20 centimeter of mercury. Atmosphere, they said it is equivalent to 76 centimeter of mercury, right? Which we studied in our theory also. So it means what is atmospheric pressure? I can say 76 centimeter of mercury. That means the tank pressure is nothing but 96 centimeter of mercury. Can anyone tell me this is absolute pressure or gauge pressure? Absolute pressure, very good. So that means only Ashwant is answering. Okay. Those I don't know what you're doing. So you are adding it with atmospheric pressure, which means it's the absolute pressure. Okay, so take it down. This is what is called the gauge pressure. See. Again, if you are, let me say this one more time. If you are getting confused, sir, so far you said pressure is measured in Pascal or Newton per meter square. Now you are writing it in centimeter of mercury. Well, you know that liquid column pressure can be talked in terms of centimeter of mercury or centimeter of any other liquid for that matter. So I can say 96 centimeter of water, 96 centimeter of mercury, 96 centimeter of alcohol, can be anything. But each one will mean a different pressure. Okay, because you have to check the rho GH. So just like this one, suppose if somebody asks you what is the actual value in Pascal, then I have to use rho GH. So rho is 13,600, G is 10, H is 96 centimeter, which means divide by 100. So do the math and you'll get the answer in Pascal. Okay, in SIU. So take it down. So don't get confused with this simple things. So far I have been talking only about the absolute and gauge pressure for the case A. Okay, so let's go to the case B. So again the same thing, but now they said they connected it to a vacuum pump, right? Pump means it will be pumping some, either it can put more gas or it can remove some gas. So which means when you remove some gas, let's read it one more time. When a pump removes some of the gas, which means it is removing the gas, which means the pressure should decrease. If the pressure decreases, what happens? The mercury will try to go up this way. Okay, which means to say that let's go back to the basic concept here. So how do I, just like this one, I have to put a line. So should I put the line over here on the top, or should I put the line in the bottom? Which one is correct? Bottom, yeah. So bottom is the correct one. So X here, Y here, or let's call it by some other name. Here I call it as X and Y. So let's call it as P and Q, or what else can you use? X, Y, Z, C and D. So property of liquid, you know that pressure at C is equal to pressure at D. Okay. So who is pressing on top of C? Pressure in the tank plus the liquid column pressure, 18 centimeter. Liquid pressure, liquid column pressure. Okay. Remember, if I say liquid pressure, it is a different meaning. Okay. Liquid column pressure means because of the height of the liquid, you are having a pressure. Okay. Is equal to pressure at D. Who is pressing on top of D? Anybody? Atmosphere. That means if I want P tank, right? This pressure, which is 76 centimeter of mercury, minus this comes on this side, so minus 18 centimeter of liquid column. 76 minus 18, how much is that? 56, 58.
centimeter of HT.
8, right? So can anyone tell me whether this is absolute pressure or gauge pressure? No, this is actually absolute pressure. Okay, because you have taken care of the atmospheric pressure also. So since atmospheric pressure is also taken care here, right? You have to say it is gauge, sorry, absolute pressure. Take it down properly. This is absolute pressure. Okay, the reason which is confusing here is, the reason why it is confusing here is you thought it is plus here and here it is minus. And the reason for that is here it's a vacuum pressure, okay, because you are sucking the air out, which means the mercury is going upwards. So here it was pushed downwards, okay, pushed this way. Now it is rising up this on this side. So this side it is positive pressure. Now it is negative pressure. Okay. So 18 centimeter of vacuum pressure. So take it down. So here I said this is the gauge pressure and this is your absolute pressure. Here 18 centimeter would be the gauge pressure. But then you have to put a minus here. It's not positive pressure, it is negative pressure because of the vacuum. Okay, this is what they asked you to find the absolute and gauge in both the cases A and B. Any questions? Anything which is not clear? Take it down properly. You see, it's simple addition and subtraction. Okay. If you know the concepts, you can do it. Otherwise, you will not be able to do it. Okay, let's go to the B part if you don't have any doubts. How would the levels change in case B if 13.6 centimeter of water immiscible with mercury are poured into the right limb of the manometer? So suppose if I add some water on this side, 13.6 centimeter. So this is 18 centimeter means this is going to be, let's say I'm adding some weight over here. So 13.6. So I'm adding 13.6 centimeter of water here. So it means this is a water column. So again, will there be any change on this side or not? So 19 centimeter of mercury. So since this is giving some extra pressure over here, this will try to rise this way. So from the previous concept, right? So suppose if I had taken a line over here, I said C and D are here. So pressure at C should be equal to pressure at D. Okay. Before adding the water, this is the situation. So we said that pressure at C is pressure at the tank plus pressure due to the liquid column, which is 18 centimeter of mercury, is equal to pressure at D, which is your P atmosphere. So now they are saying that this is before pouring the water. So now they are saying if I pour the water, what will happen, right? So they're asking what will happen to the height. How would the levels change in case B? That means the level itself is going to change. So it's not going to be 18 centimeter anymore. So, but my guess is on this side, right? Since I'm adding some more pressure, this will try to push a little bit this side so that this pressure here and this pressure here will be balanced. Okay. So you need to have some imagination. So as you pour some water, you are adding some pressure on this side. So if this pressure and this pressure has to be same, this mercury has to go slightly on this side. Only then this pressure will balance this one. So I can redraw this diagram. So take it down properly. It needs proper diagrammatic understanding. So what I tried to say here is when I add some water on this side, 13.6, this is not going to be 18 centimeter anymore because the mercury level will slightly go this way. So that means the mercury level might rise a little bit, which we do not know right now. So we are supposed to find what is this height. So let's call this as X centimeter. And because it's not 18 centimeter anymore. Anyone following this? Anybody not following this? Only if you understand this concept or imagination, you can start doing this problem. Otherwise, you cannot do it. Either I can take it as 18 centimeter plus X. This extra length can be taken as X, or I can take the total length as X. Okay. So now coming back to the same concept here, C dash, let's call this as C dash and D dash. So based on the property of liquids, I can say in a given line, pressure at C dash should be equal to pressure at D dash. Who is pressing on top of C dash? Pressure in the tank plus pressure due to this mercury column, which I told you it's not 18 centimeter anymore. It has changed to X centimeter. So which is X centimeter of mercury. Who is pressing on top of D dash? P atmosphere and this one, right? .6 centimeter of water is pressing on top of this. I am interested in finding the X value. So pressure in the tank, we found it from the previous calculation, right? So pressure in the tank, we found it as 58 centimeter of mercury, right? Absolute pressure. So 58. So read the question. They said the pressure in the tank does not change. Ignore the small change in the volume of the gas, okay, which means we are assuming that the pressure remains the same. So 58 centimeter of mercury, the pressure in the tank, plus X centimeter of mercury. Pressure at atmosphere in terms of mercury, anybody? Atmospheric pressure in terms of mercury column. Nobody is answering. Read the question. Atmospheric pressure is 76 centimeter of mercury. We say would answer that. Plus, okay, this is where the confusion. You see, here I am having it in mercury. Here also I am having it in mercury column. This is also mercury column. But this is in water column. Okay. So now what can I do? I know that the reason why they are given it as 13.6 is because relative density of mercury is 13.6. Okay. So what this means is 13.6. How do I say this? Density of water, density of mercury is equal to 13.6, right? Because relative density. So I'm going to write this as 1 centimeter of mercury. Why? Because 13.6 centimeter of water will be equivalent to only 1 centimeter of mercury. Because just 1 centimeter of mercury will create the same pressure as 13.6 centimeter of mercury. If I want to do it much more clearly, let me see how we can explain that. So 13.6 times water. Okay, let me say I want to calculate the equivalent height of mercury for a given water column. Okay, so G cancels, and height of water is 13.6 centimeter. Row of water is 1000. Row of mercury is 13,600. H of mercury. So I need to find the corresponding height of mercury. So this will come on this side. So 13.6 into 1000 will give me 13,600. So both will cancel. So I will be getting H of mercury will be 1 centimeter. Why centimeter? Because if this is in centimeter, this should also be in centimeter. This M is not meter, this M is mercury. Okay, so understand all the suffixes properly. Anybody not following this? So what I'm trying to say here is water is very heavy. So you need 13.6 centimeter of water. Whereas mercury, water is lighter. Whereas mercury is very heavy, which means 1 centimeter of mercury is sufficient to create the same effect as 13.6 centimeter of water. That's the meaning of this. So that means I'm going to write this as 1 centimeter of mercury. Okay, so take it down properly. This side note will help you to understand this. I said my interest is to find x centimeter of mercury. So x is what I'm supposed to find. So 76 plus 1, 77, 77 minus 58. Anybody? Is it 90? 8 will give me 20. So 77 will give me 19. Yeah. So what does this mean? Earlier it was 18 centimeter. Now the mercury has risen up by 1 centimeter. So that means the change in the level is 1 centimeter. Any questions? Any doubts? I pretty much solved the entire problem here because I thought you will need some proper understanding of this mercury levels. So take it down, even if you don't understand it, take it down. Sometimes the new concepts, the very first time it may not make sense. Okay, so as you keep seeing this, one more or 2 or 3 more times, eventually it will get into your head easily. Any questions? Anybody?
No, sir.
Okay, very good. Okay, let's quickly read through this. So two vessels have the same base area but different shapes. The first vessel takes twice the volume of water that the second vessel requires to fill up to a particular common height. Okay. Is the force exerted by the water on the base of the vessel the same in two cases? So why do the vessels filled with water to that same height give different readings on a weighing scale? Okay, let's try to understand this. So the base is same. So base of the vessel is something like this. Here also the base is same base area, but different shapes. So for simplicity, I'm going to assume a cylindrical shape over here. But here they said this is going to have a shape which is bigger than this, which means I'm going to take a shape something like this. So it's also filled up with water. It's also filled up with water. The same level. If this is volume V, this is 2 times volume. Twice the volume of water that the second vessel requires to fill up to a particular common height. Obviously, if I keep it in a weighing machine, right, this will show me double the mass of this one, right? Because you have double the mass of water here. So is the force exerted by the water on the base of the vessel the same in the two cases? So if I consider only this part, this area, right? You know that at a given height, the pressure is determined only by the height. Okay, so that means if I want to find the pressure at x and y, pressure at x will be equal to pressure at y. Why? Because here also it is rho gh, here also it is rho gh, here also it is same water density, same gravity because you are in earth. Here also it is same level, this is also same level because they said same level. They read this common height. The language here is a bit confusing. Maybe they should have said same level. They said particular common height, meaning the height is same. Which means to say that the pressure at this point and the pressure at this point are same. Okay. So the area is also same. They said the base area is same, which means the force acting here, the force acting here has to be the same. Okay. Why? Because pressure is equal to force by area. If I say pressure is same, then area is also same, which means force is equal to pressure into area. So this is same, this is same, which means this will also be same. This is a conceptual question. Okay. So now what they're asking is, if so, why do the vessels filled with water to that same height give different readings on a weighing scale? So obviously it makes sense that, if I put it on a weighing machine, this will show me 2 kg, this will show me 1 kg, for example. Okay. Which means if you say that the force here is same, the force here is same, the weight is nothing but force due to gravity. How come you are saying the force is same, but the weight here is higher? Okay, weighing machine is showing weight higher. The answer for that is there will be some forces which is acting on this curved surface. Okay. Suppose if I take a molecule over here, right? You can imagine that there will be some gravitational force acting this way. So similarly, if you take this molecule over here, this will also be giving some force. So in other words, if I take a line over here, these things will also be giving some force in this curved region. This weight of the liquid contained in this region will also be giving some force. But if you're wondering, sir, now only you said the force is same. Well, I said the force in the base area is same. Okay, which means this is not the base area. So the forces, there will be some forces acting downwards, which means this force will also add up to the weight of the container. So make a note, this diagram is very important. So only the liquid contained in this region, let me show it in a green color. Will be acting in this region. Whereas the water which is contained outside the cylindrical region will be acting in this curved surface of the container. Okay, so that's a conceptual question, nothing numerical here. Okay, so some of you who are biology students might you might like this kind of problems. So you understand how you can apply some physics concepts, biology related topics. During blood transfusion, the needle is inserted in a vein where the gauge pressure is 2000 Pascal. Okay, so they said gauge pressure, so that's the important word. At what height must the blood container be placed so that blood may just enter the vein? I don't know what they mean by enter the vein because you are creating a puncture in the vein, and from there only the blood is coming out. So it should get into the blood container. Okay, so that the blood may just enter the vein. Oh, okay. I think I was thinking that during blood donation, right? What happens is the blood donor will be made to lie down like this in the bed, and then somewhere in your hands, right? They will put a hole or they will puncture with the needle, and then that will be connected to the container over here, which means to say that you are at a higher pressure level, right? So the blood, when the blood is coming out, it will be coming to the bottom level over here. Okay, so there'll be a small bag over here, so it will get filled up in this bag. Now, this is during donation, but when a patient is actually taking in the blood, right? So you have to keep the blood bag on top or bottom? Top, right? Why? Because the patient is lying like this, the bed, but then the blood bag or the container will be hanging somewhere here, right? I'm sure all of you have seen this, at least in movies. Why? Because only then you will get the required pressure at this point. Okay, so because of this height, doesn't matter how long the tube is, what matters is only the height. So that means the height will give some pressure so that the blood can enter into the vein. That's what they meant by just enter the vein. So since they are given that the pressure at the vein is 2000 Pascal, right? That's your gauge pressure. So I have certain height. So they're asking you to find the height. So simply use this level. So the pressure at this point will be given by rho GH. So this should be equal to 2000 Pascal. Only then it will be able to enter in, right? Of course, it has to be slightly higher than that. Only then it will be entering it, right? Otherwise, it will not be able to enter it. That means the pressure here should be equated to this one. So 2000 Pascal should be equated to density of the blood into G into height. So they said density of whole blood is given in the table. So go back and check this. G is given, height can be found. Okay, take down the diagrams properly. If you have this understanding, you will understand why during a blood donation the bag is kept in the bottom, and during blood transfusion the bag is kept on the top. Okay, so multiplication division, your department. I'm not going to do it. Okay, let's try the 25 or 26 plane level. Okay, this is based on Bernoulli's equation. Okay, let's try 25 and 26 or like that. So let's try that. In deriving Bernoulli's equation, we equated the work done on the fluid, the tube, to its change in the potential and kinetic energy. Remember, we used the work energy theorem, right? So on this side, we did the work done. Then the other side, we did the change in the energy, which is your delta kinetic energy and delta potential energy. Okay, this is what I call it as the work energy theorem method, right? Which is given in your textbook. What I given in the handbook is energy law of conservation of energy. Okay, of course, both the methods are given in the handbook. What is the largest average velocity of blood flow in an artery of diameter 2 into 10 power minus 3 meter if the flow must remain laminar? So laminar flow means we said something like Reynolds number. Okay, anybody remember the formula? Reynolds number is rho VD divided by eta. Okay, if you don't remember, go back to your handbook. Okay, we discussed topic. We study something called Reynolds number. Because not too much of theory is given there. You can read through the textbook. So largest average velocity is what they're asking. Okay, let's. Yeah, we are talking about this one, right? So laminar flow means we say something like a very nice flow, right? Where the velocity at each point remains the same. That is not the case with the turbulent flow. Turbulent flow means you'll be having a lot of swirls or eddies like this. So it's going to be, good for mixing. But where if you don't want mixing to happen, then laminar flow is the preferred flow. So the quantitative way of understanding the laminar flow and turbulent flow is if it is up to 1000, Reynolds number is less than 1000 means it is laminar flow. If it's more than 2000 means it's turbulent flow. So this is more like an empirical formula. Okay. Many of the formulas in fluid mechanics will be empirical in nature. So this is what I meant by rho VD by eta. Diameter of the flow is given 2 into 10 power minus 3. So diameter is given. If the flow must remain laminar, which means this number should be 1000. Right? 2000 is per turbulent. So this should be less than 1000. They said velocity of blood flow in an artery, which means density of blood. You can take it from the table, your textbook. Okay. Viscosity of blood should also be given. Okay. Which means all these things. You have to find the Let me take a look at the tables in your textbook. And let's see. Yeah, if you go to page number 264, you have the density, viscosity of some fluids, so blood information is there. Then density, where do I find the density of the blood? Did they give it somewhere? Table 10.1. That's 10.1. Okay, it's there in page number 251. Okay, very first table. So there also, I think you have whole blood 1.29 kg per meter cube. Sorry, that is, yeah, whole blood is 1.06 into 10 which means to say that it's almost like water but slightly heavier than water, right? That's your blood. Okay, so multiplication division, your department. Okay, I'm not going to do it. Do the dissipative forces become more important as the fluid velocity increases? Yes, right. Because as velocity increases, um, there will be more friction. Friction will cause, fluid friction will cause more dissipative effect. What do you mean by dissipative? Something like, energy loss as heat. Okay. So when it is laminar flow, when it is, when it is flowing very nicely, nice and smooth, the losses, heat losses will be very low. Whereas when it is turbulent, obviously there will be more friction, fluid friction, which means you'll be losing more heat energy. So the answer is yes. Do the dissipative forces become more important? Yes. So you can say discuss qualitatively. So you can say as velocity increases, fluid friction increases. Which means dissipative effects will also be high. If you're wondering what is dissipative effect, it's nothing but heat loss. Remember, fluid friction is something like your air resistance, right? As the speed increases, your air resistance will also increase. Okay, I'm sure all of you must have experiences in a two-wheeler. Okay. When you're going at say 5 km per hour, you don't feel much of a air on your face because the air resistance is very, very low. Whereas when you are going at 50 km per hour or say 100 km per hour, without a helmet, without the windshield, you will not be able to drive because you will not be able to breathe because huge amount of air will be blowing on your face. But that is nothing but your air resistance. Any questions? Any doubts? Can I move on? Again, as you see, each and every question will be of a different type. Okay, so that's the reason I'm trying to go through each and every question. Okay, but you have to make use of it properly. Again, Friday we said it's a test for you. Okay, so study the theory properly. Right now, I'm planning to give only the theory test. Okay, numerical test, we'll come back to it later. So please prepare your theory questions properly. Okay, if you prepare for your test over here, I'm sure you can do very well in your school exams also. Otherwise, some people, when it is test here, they will not study properly. Okay, when it is school exam, they will say, sir, I have school exam, so I'm not going to attend. So you can keep on giving excuses. Okay, so the world is not going to wait for you. The world keeps on going. So whether you like it or not, final exam will come. Whether you like it or not, 12th standard you have to study. Okay. Then eventually you have to go to college. Again, you have to face all these things. So if you realize the reality, you can start studying properly. Okay. If you keep wasting your time, then eventually you are going to feel the heat. Okay, let's see. I think this is an interesting question, so let's try that. Plane problem. Plane is in level flight at a constant speed, and each of its two wings has an area of 25 meters square. So again, drawing is the language of engineers and scientists. So it's going at certain speed. So two wings has an area of 25 meters square each, which means 25 meters square here and 25 meters square here. Okay. If you don't read it properly, you will make a mistake. The speed of the air is 180 km per hour over the lower wing and 234 km per hour over the upper wing surface. Determine the plane's mass. Okay. Remember, they said level flight. What do you mean by level flight? You know that plane has got a weight. You know that plane is giving some kind of a lift force, F lift. So if it is in level flight, what do you mean by that? This and this are equal. Right? So if I zoom into this wings,
Lift and MGB equal.
lift and
Lift has to be greater than MG. Only then the oral has to go on the road.
yeah, so you are saying only if the lift force is higher, then only the plane will rise, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, but then once you go to certain height, are you still going? You keep on going upper and higher and higher, or do you come to a level flight?
They will come to the level.
You will come to a level flight, right? After taking off, what do you do? At some point, you have to come to a level flight. So when you are going at a level flight, that's what we mean by level flight. So there is a weight and then there is a lift force. Both are equal. That's why it's not going up further. You following? Chaitanya, following?
That's what I understood, sir.
Volume is very low. Maybe my volume is low. Okay. When it is taking off, what you are saying is true. Okay. When taking off, the lift force has to be higher. The lift force should be higher than the lift force. Sorry. So when you are taking off, the lift force has to be higher than the mg. Only then, keep on writing right. Only then you will be able to go up. Okay. Because sigma f is equal to ma. Okay. Only then the resultant will be passing it to accelerator upwards. Okay, coming back to this, you know that there is a higher speed here, then there is a lower speed here. So as you can expect, they are given this is the upper wing, so 234 kilometer per hour. This is 180 kilometer per hour. Okay. Determine the plane's mass. Remember, I should not be using 25, I should be using 50. Why? Because both the wings are helping you to take the plane, give some lift force. In reality, the lift force is actually acting in the wings, right? But then if I show the force like this, it's going to be confusing. So that's why I'm showing the weight on this side. Like this. Okay, so after that, it's very simple. So F lift is equal to mg. So I think they're asking you to find the weight of the plane, determine the plane's mass. So they're asking you to find the mass. Gravity, you know, 9.8 or 10. F lift is force. So force, you know that uh, force is equal to, sorry, pressure is equal to force by area. In this case, I told you the net force is due to the change in pressure or difference in pressure. Okay. You know that the pressure velocity here is higher, the pressure here is lower. Velocity here is lower, pressure here is higher from Bernoulli's theorem, which means this is going to give a lift force this way, higher pressure to lower pressure. So use your Bernoulli's theorem, find out, multiply by the area, but don't forget it's 50 meters square. If you do 25 meters square, you will be getting only half the force. So that should go over here. So F lift should go over. We are talking about level flight. Okay, so I can assume that the height here and here are almost the same. There's not much of a difference. So we can go back to our Bernoulli's theorem. So usually I write this as 1, this as 2. So P1 plus rho G H1 plus half rho P1 square is equal to P2 plus rho G H2 plus half rho V2 square. Can anyone tell me which term gets cancelled out? Rho GH cancels out. Why? Because the height is almost the same. Yeah. So that means I can say that even though in the formula I will write it as H1 and H2, the height between the top surface of the wing and bottom surface of the wing are almost the same. Okay. Compared to say 20,000 feet or 30,000 feet. Yeah. So I'm interested in finding. So I said this pressure is higher. So which means I'm interested in finding P2 minus P1. This we already done it in the last class. So P1 comes on this side, this comes on this side. So half rho P1 square minus V2 square. That's all. So this should go over here. Then multiply by the area, put it over here, we'll get the answer. Don't forget this should be meter per second. Right? If you put it in kilometer per hour, everything will go wrong. Density of air, let's see if they are given it, because at a higher altitude, the density will be lower than 1.3. Yeah. So we see in our sea level, right? We take it as density of air is 1.23 or 1.29, something like this. But since the flight is at a higher altitude, right, density will be very low. Okay, so compared to 1.3, you have only 1 kg per. So density is given V1 square, V2 square, you have to convert it to meter per second. So I'm not going to do it. So do it yourself, meter per second. So do the math and you will be getting it in meter per second. So do the same thing for V2 also. Okay. So find the delta P here, find the force here, put it over here, get the mass. That's all. Multiplication division, your department. Okay, I cannot do it. Any questions, any doubts? Okay, so let me go back here. Try these problems. If you have any doubts, I can help you. Okay, so most probably, of course, Friday you have the test. So next class, Monday, I will get started with thermal properties. As I've been telling you, we don't have much time. So we have to go a little bit faster because in the term one, we had 6 or 7 months. Now we have only 2.5 months, not even 2.5, maybe 2 months. So I'll be going a little bit faster. Okay. But the good news is, I'm assuming that people who are here right now, all of you are, serious students. Okay. So seriously preparing for your 11th and maybe putting a proper foundation for your 12th and engineering and medical entrance exams. Okay. So please do it sincerely. Okay. If you don't do it sincerely, you are going to suffer later on. Okay, thank you all. Bye. If you have any doubts, stay back. Otherwise, you are free to go. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you, sir.